Hey slimeheads, it's me, Thought Slime, with another normal video like the ones I always make. Today I want to talk about a channel on YouTube called Stepback History, and boy, it should be called Step Left History because he's this total beta SJW cuck, and I'm gonna eviscerate him with my cutting remarks. So get ready for that today.
Welcome to 2018, history buffs.
Okay, so right off the bat, okay, this guy says, all right, he says that he knows about history, right? Okay, but you might notice he got one of these details wrong because he said that it's 2018, and if you pay attention, it's actually 2019 right now. And I know that this video was posted in 2018, but he has never gone back to correct this. So, I mean, how can you take anything he has to say seriously?
Like many of the viewers of this channel, I am a millennial. And like many millennials, I've been told many times by those born in the 40s and 50s that we're ruining every industry and swapping home ownership for avocado toast. However, the worst sin of all is that we just can't pick up the newspaper, turn to the classifieds, and get a decent job anymore, due to our laziness, of course.
Wow, okay. You're just gonna stereotype an entire generation of people as lazy? Okay. That's, I don't know, that, like, so much for the tolerant left, I guess.
I'm going to go into why your parents think this way and why the world they grew up in is different than ours when it comes to opportunity.
What? I don't think so, bud. I think if you actually, like, knew anything, you'd know that it's the same world. We're all living on Earth, buddy. What, you expect me to believe that my parents grew up on Mars? Yeah, right.
What makes the age the baby boom generation grew into special?
I don't know. Maybe the fact that they won World War II?
Well, a few things. This period is often given nicknames like the Long Boom or the Golden Age that began around the year 1950.
Nobody calls 1950 a long boom, okay? People call it the 50s, and I've heard people call it the Great Depression, but people don't call it the long boom. Like, this guy doesn't even know history.
It's an ongoing economic boom unlike any other in history that lasted all the way until the mid-70s.
Okay, which is it? I thought we were talking about the 50s. Now we're talking about the 70s. Am I supposed to believe that this generation lasted 20 years? Yeah, right.
Some call it the Trente Glorieuses or the Glorious 30.
I don't know what those French words are because this is America and we speak English, but so the Glorious 30. You might want to check your math on that one, buddy, because if you start at 1950 and go to the end of the 70s, that's 20 years, idiot.
I think we need to begin with the obvious culprit, the Second World War. It was possibly the most destructive thing in human history.
Oh, here we go. That's the problem with you SJWs is you call everybody you don't like Nazis, and you call every war you don't like the Second World War.
And weirdly enough, capitalism thrives when it's producing, regardless of if it's making things or replacing destroyed things.
Okay. If you don't like capitalism, then how come like Venezuela?
They had to rebuild a good chunk of the planet, and that meant a lot of people working. There was also quite a technology race in everyone's effort to murder each other.
No, I don't know if you caught that, but like, this is a typical SJW trick, right? He put a picture of a woman in front of a machine, and he's basically like saying that like women can work on machines like as good as men can, but like I don't like girls don't play video games, so like fucking shut up. Like, you're just wrong, okay? That's just biology.
So a lot of new technologies entered into the economic system. That's where the big boom came from.
This guy, he keeps talking about stuff he doesn't understand. Okay, the big boom, okay, that isn't technology. That's how the universe got started, which if you look in the Bible was done by God, okay? And I'm an atheist, so I don't believe that, but it wasn't technology, okay? So like fucking don't talk about stuff you don't understand because you don't know what you're talking about. Okay, so just fucking stop it.
Many countries took this period to invest in infrastructure like highway systems that spread across their lands and helped make retail businesses expand and thrive.
No, actually, that's wrong. That's so wrong. I don't even know where to start on that because that's so wrong. Like no, no, that's so wrong. I don't even no. Okay.
This technology and resource boom allowed for new industries to rise and for new products like TVs and services like commercial flights to skyrocket. No pun intended.
Okay, so first of all, he's talking about TVs and he says they're a new technology and it's like, buddy, they've been around since the fucking 80s. So they're not new. I don't know what you're talking about when you say TVs are a new technology. And second of all, he says commercial flights, right? So he's got TV and commercials, right? But he doesn't even know what a commercial is because he's saying that an airplane is a commercial. How can anyone take this idiot seriously? I don't get it. He's a big dum-dum and not a big smart boy like me.
Many governments also practiced a form of Keynesian economics, in which the government would invest in things to make the economy grow.
Well, actually, if you want the economy to grow, then you have to have child labor, and that you can look that up in basic economics textbooks. Okay, so now you're getting into economics when you clearly don't know what you're talking about. Google the von Mises Institute and the non-aggression principle, okay? Because you're embarrassing yourself, and I don't know what Keynesian means. You're trying to dress up your lack of understanding of economics with all these fancy words, but you don't know what you're talking about.
In this period, you didn't even need your customers to have money.
Yeah, so that's basically a classic socialism fallacy that he just said, because he said you don't need customers to have money to make money. But okay, so explain to me who's buying the stuff, explain that to me. It's common sense. Venezuela.
This is different from our current model of neoliberal economics, which believes in cutting taxes for the rich in hopes that they'll pretty please do something with it and not just sit on it like they're some sort of dragon.
Okay, first of all, liberals don't believe in giving tax cuts to the rich. Liberals are socialists, and that's just a fact. If you didn't know this, okay, let me spell this out for you. So you know how the Nazis were liberals, right? Because they believed in big government. Well, did you know that the word Nazi is actually German for National Communist Party? Okay, so you're saying liberals believe in tax cuts, and they don't. They want to take everybody's money and guns and spend all the guns on abortions for gays. So you don't know what you're talking about. Okay, you're wrong.
There is, of course, also the militarization of the world in this period. Before the Second World War, a permanent military was a little strange and usually small.
That doesn't make any sense. If militaries were small before the Second World War, then how come all the countries had militaries to go to war? That doesn't even make sense. You're not even thinking about the things you're saying. It's you're just speaking stream of consciousness. It's you're not even planning ahead what you're going to say.
Pretty much the same. There was also a pretty lovely borrowing situation in this period. Interest rates were really low, sometimes even negative. That made it easy to borrow money in case you wanted to buy a house or car or start your own general store or whatever happened to people in the 50s and 60s.
Okay, so two things here. He says whatever happened to people in the 50s and 60s. So he's admitting he doesn't even know. He's just saying it right there. He's admitting it. He doesn't know. And second, the government giving people money to start businesses is communism. So I thought you liked communism, and I thought that's what you wanted, because because you hate it when companies have the free market, but you love it when like governments give people money to start businesses. Like, you know what? Like I don't even know why I'm bothering. Helicopters, Venezuela.
One of the effects of this explosion was the demographic bulge of the baby boom, a group of people who grew up in the middle of this golden age. So you can thank or blame this economic explosion for consumerism, welfare, space exploration, the 60s counterculture, the civil rights movement, and second wave feminism.
Okay, so babies did the civil rights movement. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Hey, how about this? If babies are so feminist, okay, if babies are feminist, then like they wouldn't drink breast milk.
Why did it end? Why did a person your age in the early 70s get a permanent full-time job with benefits they could live off of as an entry position, and you're begging for contracts or maybe paid internships?
Maybe because of Obamacare?
Well, the economy began to change. In 1973, OPEC, the cartel of oil-producing countries, started to embargo countries that supported Israel in the Yom Kippur War.
Like, if that were true, which it isn't, then, like oil prices would skyrocket and that would stop the economy in its tracks.
Oil prices skyrocketed, stalling the economy in its tracks. This exacerbated the already trending movement away from industrial economies in the West. Why make stuff when a corporation could just pay near slaves halfway across the planet to make it instead?
Oh, that's interesting. Did you see how he said slaves? Did you know that the Democratic Party was the party of slavery in the 50s? So like kind of a hypocrite thing now, that he doesn't want slaves. Which is it?
As Mexi so elegantly pointed out in her video, capital is fluid and can move anywhere, but labor cannot.
So I don't know who this woman is, but she's she's like a communist or whatever. So she's like stupid. So like she says that capital is fluid, and it's like that doesn't even make any sense. Okay, because capital is like it's like free markets, which are solids. Like, I don't know if you've ever gone to a market, but it's not liquid. Like, if it were, you just fall through it. Like, do you expect people are just like swimming around at the grocery store? Like, the food would get wet, okay? And like, I go to the grocery stores with my dad like all the time, and like he lets me buy whatever I want. So like, I think I would know if the food is wet. And so like, you don't know what you're talking about, okay? So just stop it.
50s and 60s were an unprecedented period of income equality. It wasn't anywhere near just or perfect.
What communists call income inequality is in fact evolution. And if you read the works of Murray Rothbard, like you'd understand that basically people have different time preferences, and that means that it's like you pay people, right, like according to that. So like you don't know what you're talking about. Like, you don't know, like, anything. So, like, you're wrong.
So, why aren't millennials buying houses or diamonds? Well, it's because we're broke. And a little historical literacy teaches us that it isn't because we did anything wrong.
Actually, if you're poor, then, like, you should be, like, working harder, right? And, like, if you work harder than everybody else, and you can see this, like, okay, let's look at an example. There's Steve Jobs, okay, invented computers. And if he hadn't done that, like, we wouldn't have computers. And then he made $1 million, okay? So, like, you just got to work hard. And, like, this victim mentality of, like, I'm going to sit around and I'm going to make YouTube videos and, complain about, like, how my legs are broken, then like, obviously you're not going to make $1 million if you do that. Okay. But like, you can take it from me, right? Like, cause I have a success mentality. I'm going to make $1 million. So I know what I'm talking about. So like, when you say that like people didn't do anything wrong, okay, like then how come they like how come they're not rich? You know? So that's excuse me. It's that's my video on this. Yeah, basically like this guy doesn't know what he's talking about, and like he's just like he's wrong about all this stuff he said, and like I don't even know where to begin, you know? Anyway, I know I said I would make that video about how SJWs are ruining the American Nazi Party, but I got way late on that because like basically my mom's a total bitch, and so that'll be up like, you know, like later or whatever. And scene. I hope you liked my April Fool's Day video. Go subscribe to Stepback History. He's actually a pal of mine. There will be a real video later this week. I'm sorry that I did this.